Some people dive into things or take it however they want to take it. I'm not responsible for how people react to things. Stefon Diggs has reportedly hit his breaking point, getting into a heated exchange with an NFL owner who told him he's too much of a distraction to sign. While Diggs insists he is only responsible for his own actions, owners are reportedly citing his $22 million price tag and a pattern of locker room tension as the primary reasons he remains unsigned. In February 2026, the Patriots lost 29-13 to the Seattle Seahawks in Super Bowl LX. Stefon Diggs was on that field. He was in uniform, he was technically a Patriot, but his Super Bowl stat line told a story. Just 3 catches for 37 yards in the biggest game of the season, and he averaged just 27.5 receiving yards per game during the entire postseason, for a guy who'd signed a deal worth up to $69 million less than a year earlier. Those numbers weren't enough. Stefon Diggs' stint in New England was over. The Patriots informed the 4-time Pro Bowl receiver they intended to release him at the start of the new league year on March 11th. The reason? Money? Diggs' base salary was rising from $2.9 million in 2025 to $26 million in 2026, and his salary cap charge was increasing from $10.5 million to $26.5 million. The Patriots looked at those numbers, looked at a receiver about to turn 33, and decided to cut him loose. New England's decision was purely financially motivated. Diggs had an additional $6 million set to become fully guaranteed at the end of the next week, prompting the Patriots to make such a decision and inform Diggs ahead of time so that he could get an early start on seeking a new employer. Here's what made this situation sting, though. The Patriots made the calculation that those increased charges, plus Diggs turning 33 in November, made this the time to move on, despite him turning in a solid 2025 regular season. That included a team-high 85 receptions for 1,013 yards and 4 touchdowns. So the Patriots were essentially saying, you helped us get to the Super Bowl, but you're not worth what we owe you. Diggs expressed gratitude for his time with the Patriots, posting 2 photos on social media with the caption, "Thank you for a hell of a year. Until we meet again." And just like that, Stefon Diggs was a free agent, again, for the second time in 2 years. You would think that a receiver coming off a 1,000-yard season, fresh from a Super Bowl appearance, would have teams lining up, but what followed was silence. Weeks passed, then a month, then the entire NFL draft came and went. Free agent wide receiver Stefon Diggs remained unsigned as we headed into the back half of April. Diggs was cut loose after 1 season with the New England Patriots, during which he caught 85 passes for 1,013 yards and 4 touchdowns. 32 teams, 0 offers, a man who'd earned over $137 million in NFL salary, who'd caught passes from Josh Allen, CJ Stroud, and Drake May, was being treated like a player nobody wanted. And the reasons behind that cold shoulder run far deeper than salary cap arithmetic. To understand how Diggs ended up in this position, you have to rewind the tape. Way back, Stefon Marcian Diggs was born November 29th, 1993. He played college football for the Maryland Terrapins and was selected by the Minnesota Vikings in the 5th round of the 2015 NFL Draft. Diggs became a full-time starter for the Vikings midway through his rookie year. Despite his late-round draft status, nobody expected much from a 5th-round pick out of Maryland. But Diggs had a stubborn refusal to accept invisibility. After being buried on the depth chart in the early stages of his career, Diggs made his NFL debut on October 4th, 2015, due to injuries, and he made the most of it with a 6-catch, 87-yard performance against the Broncos in Denver that served as the launching pad for an incredible rookie season, during which Diggs finished with 52 catches for 720 yards and 4 touchdowns. He climbed the ranks in Minnesota methodically, relentlessly. He became part of an effective receiving tandem alongside Adam Thielen, with his highlights including catching the Minneapolis Miracle pass during the 2017-18 NFL playoffs. That play, the 61-yard walk-off touchdown against the New Orleans Saints, cemented Diggs in NFL lore forever. Diggs is known for perhaps the most famous play in Vikings history, as he was on the receiving end of the Minneapolis Miracle in January of 2018. Minnesota trailed New Orleans with just 10 seconds left in the divisional round, before Diggs stunned the football world with a 61-yard touchdown catch and run as time expired, for a 29-24 win. The Vikings rewarded him. In 2018, the Vikings gave him a 5-year, $72 million contract extension. He registered his first 1,000-yard receiving season in 2018 and continued to be a key offensive weapon for Minnesota until his trade. But something curdled in the relationship between Diggs and the Vikings organization. There were whispers about frustration with his role in the offense, about targets that weren't coming his way, about a man who felt undervalued in a system that leaned heavily on the run game. Diggs was quoted saying there's truth to all rumors, after speculation that he was frustrated with his role in the Minnesota Vikings offense. That statement was a grenade tossed into the middle of the Vikings locker room, and it detonated exactly how you'd expect. Everything came to a head on March 20, 2020, when the Vikings made the decision to trade Diggs to the Bills in exchange for an assortment of draft picks. He left the Vikings after posting 365 catches for 4,623 yards and 30 touchdowns in 70 games. The trade haul was significant. The Bills sent a package that included a first-round pick to Minneapolis in exchange for Diggs, the 22nd overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, along with 5th-round and 6th-round picks in 2020 and a 4th-round pick in 2021. The Vikings used that 22nd pick to draft a kid named Justin Jefferson, who would go on to become one of the most electrifying receivers in the modern game. The irony of that outcome would haunt Diggs for years. In Buffalo, though, Diggs exploded into a stratosphere few receivers ever reach. In his first season with Buffalo, Diggs had a career year, leading the entire NFL with 127 receptions and 1,535 receiving yards, along with 8 touchdowns. This dominant performance earned him his first Pro Bowl selection and first-team All-Pro honors. He also became the fastest receiver to surpass 100 catches with a new team, and broke Eric Moulds' franchise record for receiving yards in a single season. He and Josh Allen formed one of the most devastating quarterback-receiver connections in football. Diggs finished the 2022 season with 1,429 receiving yards and a career-high 11 touchdowns on 108 receptions. Diggs achieved 6 consecutive seasons with over 1,000 receiving yards from 2018 to 2023, and 4 consecutive seasons with over 100 receptions from 2020 to 2023. He was named to the Pro Bowl 4 times consecutively from 2020 to 2023. The Bills rewarded that dominance. In April 2022, he signed a 4-year, $96 million contract extension with the Bills. Stefon Diggs was, at that moment, one of the highest paid and most productive wide receivers walking the earth. But like every chapter in the Diggs saga, the peak was followed by turbulence. The unraveling of Stefon Diggs' tenure in Buffalo played out in a painfully public fashion, the kind of deterioration that the NFL media cycle loves to magnify and dissect under the brightest possible spotlights. During the Bills' divisional round playoff loss to the Cincinnati Bengals, Diggs was seen on the telecast, visibly upset while talking with Allen on the sidelines during the fourth quarter. That image, Diggs animated, frustrated, gesturing on the sideline, became the defining snapshot of a partnership that had started to sour. In the 2023 season, Diggs finished with 107 receptions for 1,183 yards and 8 touchdowns, though his production trailed off towards the end of the year. During the AFC divisional round playoffs against the Chiefs, Diggs dropped 2 passes, including a 64-yard pass from Josh Allen, as the Bills narrowly lost 27-24. Those drops against Kansas City, the franchise's nemesis, the team that had broken Buffalo's heart over and over again, were magnified into something far beyond ordinary missed catches. They became symbols, evidence that the relationship between Diggs and the Bills had reached its breaking point. On April 3, 2024, Diggs, along with a 6th-round selection in the 2024 NFL Draft and a 5th-round selection in the 2025 NFL Draft, was traded to the Houston Texans in exchange for a 2nd-round selection. 2 trades in 4 years. 2 organizations that had decided Stefon Diggs was talented enough to acquire, but too combustible to keep. In Houston, Diggs was supposed to be the missing piece for C.J. Stroud and a Texans team with legitimate Super Bowl aspirations. The 30-year-old had 47 receptions for 496 yards and 3 touchdowns in 8 games. In his first season in Houston, after a blockbuster trade from the Buffalo Bills, he was performing, he was contributing. And then, in a single horrifying moment, everything shattered. On October 27th, in Week 8 against the Colts, Diggs suffered a non-contact injury to his knee and did not return. It was later revealed to be a torn ACL, ruling him out for the remainder of the season. The cruelest injury in professional football, delivered without any contact at all. No defender landed on his leg, no collision, triggered the collapse. His knee simply gave out, like a bridge that had carried too much weight for too many years. Unfortunately, he tore his ACL. Head coach DeMeco Ryans said, "He'll be out for the year." It really hurts our team to hear that news. Diggs was set to become a free agent after the season, after the Texans reworked his contract following the trade. Houston took the $3.5 million guaranteed to Diggs for the 2025 season and put it in his 2024 contract, giving him $22.52 million in guaranteed money that year. So when the knee buckled, Diggs wasn't just losing a season, he was losing his leverage. He was losing his ability to negotiate from a position of dominance. A receiver coming off a torn ACL at age 31 is a risk, and NFL general managers are not in the business of sentimentality. Yet Diggs defied the odds. On March 28, 2025, Diggs signed a 3-year, $63.5 million contract with the New England Patriots. The Patriots, under new head coach Mike Vrabel, were building something. They had a young quarterback in Drake May. They needed a proven veteran who could run routes in his sleep, who could mentor the younger players, who could be the steadying presence in a locker room searching for an identity, and Diggs delivered. He came back from the torn ACL and posted numbers that silenced the doubters. Last season, with the New England Patriots, Diggs turned in an 87.5 overall PFF grade, placing him 6th among 81 qualifying wide receivers. His 87.5 receiving grade ranked 7th in that same group. He finished with 85 catches on 100 targets for 1,013 yards and 4 touchdowns, averaging 11.9 yards per reception. He added 363 yards after the catch, was credited with 2 drops, and had an average depth of target of 8.7 yards. 2 drops the entire season, 85 catches on 100 targets, and 85% catch rate. The Patriots rode that production all the way to the Super Bowl. Drake May blossomed into an MVP candidate with Diggs as his primary target. And then the Patriots decided he was too expensive, cut him, and the rest of the NFL collectively shrugged. The numbers say Stefon Diggs should have a team. The tape says he should have a team. The problem isn't what happens between the white lines. The problem is everything that surrounds it, a gathering storm cloud of legal troubles and off-field chaos that has made 32 NFL front offices reluctant to pick up the phone. The charges stem from an incident on December 2nd, 2025, that resulted in charges being brought against Diggs by a woman who said she worked as his personal chef. The timing of these allegations was devastating. They emerged while Diggs was still a Patriot. In the middle of a playoff run that would end in the Super Bowl, Diggs is accused of slapping his live-in private chef and choking her until she had trouble breathing, a police report revealed. The chef told police that on December 2nd, she and Diggs had been trading texts about money he owed her, and that when he entered her unlocked bedroom at his home outside Boston, their argument turned violent. Diggs is charged with 1 count of felony strangulation or suffocation and 1 count of misdemeanor assault and battery. These are not minor charges. A felony strangulation charge carries significant prison time in Massachusetts. Diggs has maintained his innocence from the very beginning. Diggs categorically denies all the allegations. His attorney said in a statement, "The timing and motivation for making the allegations is crystal clear. They are the direct result of an employee-employer financial dispute that was not resolved to the employee's satisfaction," the statement said. Stefon looks forward to establishing the truth in a court of law. Diggs pleaded not guilty to felony strangulation and other criminal charges stemming from an alleged dispute with his personal chef. The arraignment at Massachusetts Dedham District Court was postponed until after Super Bowl LX, so Diggs could play in the NFL championship game. Think about that for a moment. The league and the courts agreed to delay the arraignment so that the man could play in the Super Bowl. Football once again came first, but the legal cloud didn't dissipate after the game ended. A trial date has been set for former New England Patriots wide receiver Stefon Diggs in his assault and strangulation case. Court documents show that Diggs' jury trial is set to begin May 4th in Dedham District Court. That date is less than a week away, and the criminal case isn't the only legal battle Diggs is fighting. A recent report details a new development in the escalating legal battle between Stefon Diggs and influencer Christopher Blake Griffith. Griffith, who previously accused Diggs of drugging and sexual assault, has now filed a motion requesting access to the NFL star's financial records as part of ongoing court proceedings. Diggs has strongly denied the allegations against him and even went as far as filing a defamation lawsuit back in 2025. He argued that Griffith fabricated the entire story for attention and caused serious harm to his reputation personally and professionally. It was also revealed that Diggs' ex-girlfriend Mulan Hernandez had filed a civil lawsuit against him in a Texas court, which alleged that he tried to prevent her from reporting that he had physically abused her. Hernandez's lawsuit was filed 2 months after Diggs filed a separate lawsuit, which accused her of extortion. So you have a criminal trial starting in days, a separate sexual assault allegation being litigated in civil court, and yet another civil suit involving an ex-girlfriend. For an NFL front office, signing Stefon Diggs isn't just a football decision anymore. It's a public relations calculation, a legal risk assessment, and a moral question all rolled into one. After an abrupt exit from the New England Patriots and the uncertainty of his unresolved legal issues, Diggs could have a difficult time finding a new NFL home. One analyst predicts Diggs remains unsigned after more than a month of free agency. Gilberto Manzano warns that Diggs' pending felony criminal charges could prevent another NFL team from signing him altogether. As of right now, the 2026 NFL Draft has concluded, and Stefon Diggs remains without a team. Both Stefon Diggs and Deebo Samuel remain unsigned, but the conclusion of the 2026 NFL Draft could help better shape what kind of market the veteran wide receivers will have moving forward. He sits on a list alongside names like Tyreek Hill, Keenan Allen, Bobby Wagner, and Joey Bosa, veteran players whose talent is not in question, but whose circumstances have put them in a holding pattern. There are still teams that could use him. Bleacher Report spotlighted 3 teams that could add Diggs, including the Kansas City Chiefs. Diggs could join star tight end Travis Kelce, who is returning for next season, along with receivers Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy. That would be a significant addition to the roster. Another location highlighted as a potential landing spot for Diggs is Los Angeles, with the Rams. The 2026 NFL Draft has come and gone, and the Minnesota Vikings chose not to select a wideout that could fill the WR3 role that's vacant after the departure of Jalen Nailor in free agency this offseason. As a result, if the Vikings want to have a reliable wideout behind Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, they'll likely head into the veteran free agent market. A Vikings reunion would be poetic. Diggs returning to the franchise where he caught the Minneapolis Miracle, playing behind the very receiver who was drafted with the pick his departure created. If Diggs' legal process is resolved, a homecoming to the Minnesota Vikings makes plenty of sense. CBS Sports' Garrett Podell noted that there's an opening at Minnesota's WR3 spot after Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. But that phrase, if Diggs' legal process is resolved, is carrying all the weight. That single conditional clause is the barrier between Stefon Diggs and every NFL roster in existence. Elliott Wolf, the Patriots' executive vice president, continues to keep the door open for the Patriots to re-sign Stefon Diggs this offseason. Even New England, the team that released him, hasn't fully shut the door. So where does this leave us? Was there an NFL owner who refused to sign Stefon Diggs in some dramatic confrontation? Here is the truth. The confrontation isn't a single moment or a single owner. It's the entire league's collective hesitation. 32 ownership groups, 32 general managers, 32 decision-making apparatuses that have all arrived at the same conclusion. The talent is real, but the risk is too high right now. The confrontation is the market itself telling a player who just put up 1,000 yards and went to the Super Bowl that his off-field issues have made him radioactive. Diggs is not being evaluated as a football player in this moment. He is being evaluated as a liability. His trial begins on May 4th. If he is acquitted, expect teams to come calling within hours. If he is convicted, his NFL career may be over. The league has spoken through its silence. The owners haven't confronted Diggs with words. They've confronted him with inaction, which, in the cold calculus of professional football, speaks far louder. On the field, though, Diggs is still playing at an extremely high level. He finished 4th in the NFL in PFSN's WR impact metric, and coming off a torn ACL in 2024, still ended the 2025 season with over 1,000 receiving yards. The talent has never been the question with Stefon Diggs. From the 5th round of the draft to the Minneapolis Miracle, from leading the NFL in receiving to helping Drake May become an MVP candidate, the man can play football at a level that very few humans on this planet can match. But football has never been Diggs' only story. There's always been the other side. the frustrations that led to trades out of Minnesota and Buffalo, the ACL that robbed him of his time in Houston, and now the legal battles that are robbing him of his freedom to compete. Stefon Diggs is 32 years old, sitting at home, waiting for a phone call that may or may not come, while the clock on his playing career ticks forward without mercy. The NFL is not a sentimental business. It does not hand out roster spots as rewards for past performance. It asks one question, and one question only. What can you do for me today? And at what cost? For Stefon Diggs, the answer to the first part of that question is obvious. The answer to the second part is what's keeping him unemployed. And until that May 4th trial date provides clarity, the most talented unsigned player in professional football will remain exactly where he is, on the outside looking in, with 32 locked doors between him and the game he's spent his entire life playing.